to the republic for which it stands,
one nation, under God,
indivisible,
with liberty and justice for all.
Guns, self-defense, concealed carry. This is the Patriot Defense Podcast. From the War Room in Idaho's high desert, here's your host, Todd Echols.
It is Sunday afternoon, and we are back, tucked away in the War Room somewhere in the high desert of southern Idaho. Idaho. Joining me today is Mr. Magnum.
How's it going?
He's a listener.
All the time.
He's a fan. He's a fanboy.
Kinda.
He's a podcast fanboy.
Definitely got my comment list out there, so you should check it out. It can be pretty raw.
Yeah, there you go. No, James is James Mag. Oh, I like your real name, man.
That's all right.
It's Mag. We're gonna call him Magnum PI, because he likes the 1911s.
Always best gun on the planet.
And the Hawaii, he's got like some Hawaiian type shirts. Good to go, man. It's good to have you here today. I was actually going to do a podcast last night, and I was tired. I needed my sleep.
Well, all the smoke inhalation and superheat, and
it's been rough around here with all the smoke. What have you been up to lately, sir?
Lately, just taking care of the home life, taking care of the people of Magic Valley.
There you go. And tell us a little bit. You don't have to get in. I don't need to know from the day you were born, but tell us a little bit about yourself. I mean, what's your background? You like guns, obviously.
I am a gun fanatic. It cost me way more money than I'm willing to let go. But I am, I've been here 2 years now, transplant out of the People's Republic of Washington State. And
that's what it's come to.
Had to run over here for freedom and just enjoying the people, and love it here.
We're glad to have you. Found the podcast. You've taken some classes. You always listen to my radio show. You're always like number one commenter on the podcast. We appreciate that. When we can make Facebook Live work, which is not happening today.
No, definitely
We
not.
tried for like 30 minutes. It's not going to happen.
That's okay. I got a face for radio anyways.
Yeah, me too. That's the way it goes. But you brought over some toys. Let's start off with that. You brought over a little toy for us to try out. To explain what it was and all that good stuff. And yeah, I'm going to take your picture.
All right. Well, as we know, Todd's not a all-around rifle guy, so I brought him over an AR pistol and
not even close.
Kind of set it up with a Fostech AR2 Echo trigger, which was way fun, and burned up, half a case of ammo in about 4 minutes, which was awesome.
That's a binary trigger.
Yeah, the binary trigger. You get semi-auto and fun mode.
And so explain, because I know they, maybe everyone's smarter than me. I know they are, but maybe there's some people that don't understand what a binary trigger is. Can you explain how that works?
Yeah, absolutely. So your standard semi-auto is one round for every depress of the trigger. You reset the trigger and make your next shot. On a binary, essentially you make that first trigger pull, and upon release, going to reset, the weapon fires again. So, and you can do it pretty rapid succession as long as you get your timing down.
You could have fooled me. I mean, I would have thought we were shooting full auto out here.
It felt full auto.
It sounded full auto.
Yeah, it made me want to change that muzzle brake though. You get punched in the face that much. It's not a whole lot of fun.
I tell you, that thing was a blast. And you had me grab. I think every time you've come out with a rifle of some kind or AR or whatever, you've always had me go get my son.
Oh yeah.
And so we brought my son out, and he was shooting it like a semi-auto at first. He didn't get it, but once he got it, man, did you see the grin on his face?
There is nothing make you happier than at least with your clothes on than shooting full auto or close to it.
Yeah, and that depends on the day at that point. So.
That's true.
But no, that was a lot of fun. We burned up a bunch of your ammo, that wasn't mine, and I'm okay with that. And then you got to finally try out my trigger upgrade from HK Parts that I put in my VP9. Got the match grade springs, and I got the Lazy Wolf flat-faced trigger on there. As like I think I actually have the receipt right here. Let me look. I can't remember exactly what it was called. I think it was the F3, the Lazy Wolf VP series trigger. It's the F3, the full flat face. What did you think of that?
That was awesome. As a self-proclaimed 1911 guy, I love my single action triggers. That is probably one of the best single action triggers I've run. Probably not for somebody that's brand new. So
No.
don't run out there and do that because, you know, you don't want to bleed from areas that are no fun.
Yeah.
But absolutely cool.
I will say that in one of my classes the other day, I had some new shooters. It was just like it was a husband and wife, I think. No, it was husband and wife, and her dad showed up for a private class, and they were shooting, and I said, "Hey, you want to try this?" And it took someone that had a you know, like a baseball size group and put them into like a ping pong ball size group in about 2 seconds. Absolutely amazing what a good trigger will do for you.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, everybody knows sight alignment, trigger press, the two biggest keys. But if you can make any one of those two things easier, and you know, get somebody zeroed in on paper, you made yourself a safer shooter.
Oh yeah, for sure. And it was I don't know, it's a lot of fun. In fact, I'll be honest with you, I've shot it a dozen times maybe. More people have shot that gun since I replaced that trigger than I have. And I'm starting to see I need to probably fix that this week. I need to get out and do some draw and fire with it. And I know you were concerned. You asked me if I was still going to carry appendix.
Yeah. I'm. You know, Todd converted me to carry an appendix. I carry I'll generally have a full size firearm at some point.
Right.
But even that trigger makes me a little if even the one I chose to carry today, I take the holster off and holster it before I put it back in.
Dude, it's all about finger. Keep your finger off the trigger. Don't get anything in the holster. You're good to go.
True. Fat guys, you usually got a little bit of extra pant there if that thing folds over.
You are in trouble.
I'm not having any more kids right now, but
yeah.
The ability to stand at the urinal is a good thing.
Yeah, that is your good point. I'll be careful. Now I'm gonna struggle every time I go to holster that thing. You know that just because of you. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. But so you actually come in. You left out. You actually come in and help me out. You and Henry. And Henry's been on the podcast once before, but you actually come and help me out in a lot of my classes, and I really appreciate it. And so have you, before you started helping me out, like you helped me out in my concealed carry permit classes, had you done anything like that before? As far as I know, you've done a lot of training and stuff, but you actually come and helped that many new shooters out at one time before?
No, honestly. I mean, usually it's family members, which is nearly impossible because they don't want to listen to you anyways.
Yeah, exactly.
And a few friends that you try to help, and again, it's a friend relationship, which is really hard. Which is why, in my experience of taking training classes and that, go to somebody you don't know.
Right.
Come see Todd or a good qualified trainer that doesn't teach you BS and then doesn't need to show you their shooting skills for 6 hours before you get a chance to do anything.
Right.
There's a lot of good trainers out there, but pick somebody that's got, your speed, is willing to listen.
Right. And
then work with it. But yeah, no. And I've learned a ton just coming here and helping people. I learned that I love helping people when they're willing to listen. And then, being able to watch them walk out of here without being afraid of the firearm they started with.
Yeah.
Just absolutely cool.
And you see a lot of things, and it helps you. I think helping other people shoot helps you become a better shooter because you see everything that can be done that's wrong.
Yeah. And I look at it as an opportunity. I really want to slow it down and help them personally.
Right.
But ultimately with the ECPW classes, they're, you have a pace to set in that. And we're always, hey, you need to come back and Todd can help you work on this specific thing. But every once in a while, I'll throw a little bit of tidbit. Hey, do this just to make them a little bit safer.
Yeah.
And it's great watching them roll up in a positive. I think your last winner in my last class just changed her hand position for her and showed her how to actually press that trigger out. And she zapped the dead center right out of that thing as a first-time shooter. So it was pretty cool.
And usually it's not, the fundamentals are the fundamentals, but you go out and you watch someone shoot, and you usually don't, they may be shooting kind of way off. You usually don't have to change that much to fix their shooting. It's just that they have to be willing to do it and to listen to you and put into play what you tell them.
Yeah.
But it's amazing to watch them. All of a sudden, they go from like they're maybe hitting the paper to sucking it down to getting a nice, even a fist-sized group, which is really good for a lot of people, especially when you're shooting defensively. That's fine. Just a smile on their face, and you can just see the confidence. They can go from being upset to on top of the world in about 2 mags.
Yeah. And even in cases where I watched you help folks or watch Henry out there, we had some folks out there that were the struggle with loading the magazine.
Yes.
Or even cycling their slide. I know those Smith and Wessons are great guns, but boy, what a pain in the keister to try to get.
Oh, those little shields.
Yeah, the shield.
Oh,
I mean that thing that's a rival spring, man. I got to give it a little toughness, but you can show them that they can do it. Show them the body mechanics and safely do it. Yeah, I mean that's just something just right there. That one little extra thing, they're not going to shoot themselves in the hand or maybe pop their their significant other in the next room by making a mistake. And
you got to choose your wins too. I mean, you got to look at each person's going to have a different kind of win. Some of the wins might be, hey, I'm shooting better. Everyone gets the win of, hey, my shooting is improved. But some people get the win of, hey, I learned how to successfully load a magazine. I know I can repeat the gun safety rules. And yeah, I can shoot. But the big win is I know the gun safety rules and I know how to load the magazine. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And the other big wins for people are, hey, I know how to do this. I can do this by myself. My husband, my significant other, my friend doesn't have to stand there and show me how to grip the gun and show me how to load the magazine because I've come away with that much. And you just got to, everyone wins somehow in some way. And it just, but when they come in here, they're all at different levels already. But, and it just empowers them. I absolutely love it. I'm wore out after a class like that. I'm just mentally drained, but it's so much fun. It is so much fun to send those people out into the, and hopefully they go out and practice. I mean, that's what you hope, but at least you've hopefully put them on the right path to move forward.
Yeah. Give them a couple tools to
good information and stuff like that. So, last class, not the one I had yesterday. We'll get to that one, but I didn't do a podcast last week and I apologize for that. I'm going to throw that out there. I really apologize for not, I was done after that class. I was just done. I think was it hot that day or was it cool?
It was cool, but I got sick at the end of the day too. So.
Well, there was a bunch of smoke that day too.
Yeah.
And we've had horrible, like everywhere else, right? We've had horrible wildfires. We've got one that just, 30 miles away from us here that's at 100,000 acres. I mean, so the smoke around here, today's not bad, but the smoke around here has been absolutely horrible. And we're getting all the Oregon and the California smoke. So at the end of the day, last Saturday, I was done. I was done. My head hurt. I was like, I'm not doing a podcast. There's no way I'll be able to focus. So we didn't do one. So we didn't get a chance. It's a long way of saying we didn't get a chance to talk about last week's class. But we had some cool guns in that little class.
We did. We did the 30 cal P08 Ruger is one, or not Ruger, Luger.
Luger
was the first one that caught my eye, and they're not known for running all the time.
Thing ran great.
Ran like a Singer sewing machine, and that was so cool. And the gentleman that was shooting it,
he was great.
World War II vet, just all around.
You liked the shirt.
I loved his shirt.
He had big like Hawaiian flowers on it and great big bombers on it.
He did. The cool part was right here in Magic Valley, we had that B-25 that was kind of the flying museum floating, and he had them all over his shirt. So I was like, hey, wow, are you part of that group or what? And that was very cool.
That dude was a character.
He was.
But that gun was really cool, and just to watch it because it flips the brass straight up in the air. It was cool. I was out there a couple days ago and I was looking down at the brass and I was like, oh, someone was shooting that's a small 10 mil. Oh, that's not a 10 mil. Because it was neck down a little bit.
Yeah. The first I started seeing on the ground, I was like, is there a 357 SIG out here?
Or that's what I want 10 mil, 357 SIG. That's what I was after.
Yeah. I'm looking around. I went, wait a minute. That guy had that 30. And so that was pretty interesting.
That was cool. And so another gun, and I posted a picture of it on Facebook because I was just super impressed by it because honestly, I don't care what gun you bring. As long as it's safe, you can do the class with it. You're going to determine whether or not it works for you. And I'm not going to say, hey, that's going to be no good because you'll make that. After shooting 100 rounds, you're probably going to make that determining factor on your own. So I'm not going to tell you. There was a gun there that I kind of looked at and I hadn't had one come through class before. And I've been doing this for almost 8 years now. And it's funny because I just talked about the gun like a few days earlier before class, but it was a 9mm Jennings.
Yep, I remember that.
And that thing it looked like it was machined out of one solid piece of, I don't know what that was, chrome.
Yeah, it had the chrome cool factor.
Dude, it was so shiny. That gun was so shiny. And I saw it, I thought we're gonna have problems with that gun. That thing ran like a top. I mean, it didn't have one. I don't. At least not that I noticed. It didn't have one malfunction. Had nothing. It just shot and she shot pretty well with it.
Yeah, she ran pretty well. I was actually thinking that it kind of put the yeet cannon in its grave.
Yeah, it kind of did. Well, I was looking just down the table from her, and there's some other ladies there, and it wasn't their fault, but they were running some shields, right? Those shields are having all kinds of issues. And that old Jennings was over there just plink, 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 not just running smooth, not a problem at all.
Yeah, that was pretty impressive. You had one on the table that was running a Walther PPS M2, which is usually pretty well known for being reliable, and she kept having failures to
eject.
lock up. No, it wouldn't go into battery.
Oh,
Failures
gotcha.
go into battery.
Yeah.
3 or 4 times, and then I was actually really surprised that a Walther would do that. So, and then the Jennings, not a single problem. So,
yeah,
pretty impressed.
It was impressive little firearms. I just had a class, so I'll back up. That class actually went really well. It was a great day. Good class, good people, like always. Then I had another class yesterday, actually. And it was a group of Republicans. I don't know if it's like part of the Republican Party, or I don't know. I think they do like fundraising. They support the Republicans, so they're all Republicans. And they came and they did a class. I donated some classes to them, and they brought out almost 30 people. And they had a big barbecue lunch here and had burgers and all kinds of stuff. You missed out. You could have had a hamburger.
I know. I never come over expecting meat.
They not here. They offered me a plate, and I looked at. Well, we'll get to that in a minute, but this is kind of a funny story. But they showed up and they were all shooting, and there was a. And you're gonna have to. My sig knowledge is lacking. My sig knowledge, but there was. It was a P. I want to say 238. Is that a thing?
238. Yeah, subcompact 1911 380.
Nope.
Not that one.
No. So this gun, it was a SIG, and I think it may have been an older one. I don't know, but it looked like a what was the number on that? It kind of looked like a Walther, or like a little like a James Bond gun, but it was a SIG. You get what I'm saying? It kind of had that shape to it. And I don't know. That thing was cool. It didn't look ugly like the other SIGs I've seen.
I'm gonna have to check that one out. I haven't seen that one.
Yeah,
maybe like a 225 or something
like that. Yeah, but it kind of the barrel kind of in the slide, like it started off wide and it kind of came to a point. You know what I'm talking about when I talk about the Walther PPS, PPKS.
Yeah, the PPK, PPS.
Yeah, it kind of had that shape to them. I had a gun, and you've heard us talk about it on the podcast, I'm sure. I had a gun that was kind of like that. It was chambered in. This one was 9 mil, I believe, the lady had, but the one I had was chambered in 9x18 Makarov. So yeah, it was kind of the shape of a Makarov. Mm-hmm. But the one I had was chambered in 9x18 Makarov, but it was I don't even know how you say it. If you call it, say FEG.
The FEG, yeah.
The FEG. I had
F64 or something like that.
Mine was 9x18, so it was a 63, I believe. that was one of my first guns.
That's an ugly gun.
That's not bad. So you take a Dremel tool to it, which I did, and you polish it all up. It gets damn shiny. And back then that was cool, man. I used to carry that thing. That was my carry gun. You're laughing at me, shaking your head.
I'm laughing because my first carry gun, I think it was a Ruger P89.
Yeah.
Also doubled as a boat anchor.
Oh yeah, I'm so sorry. That was a horrible gun.
It was tough though. Oh
yeah.
Before I had a concealed carry permit, I dropped it out of the window on the freeway, and I went back and picked it up, and it still ran.
So the Cajun Cowboy, he's not here today, but he had a gun kind of like that. He bought it. I forget where he bought it. Well, I know where he bought it. I don't know what state. He calls it the gas station gun.
Oh, I heard. Yeah, I listened to the cast.
And that is the ugliest. I believe it's a Ruger. And I don't know what it is. It's freaking absolute. It shoots, and it's like 58 pounds.
Yep.
And
P85, P89, P90s were all that way.
Oh my gosh! Yeah. But the thing shoots. He goes, everyone's got to have a good gas station gun. I was like, what do you call the gas? He goes, I bought it at the gas station. I'm like, what? Because I bought it at the freaking gas station for like $300 or something. So that was years ago. He was moving. He needed a gun. He felt like he wanted a gun, so he picked one up after he filled up his tank, I guess. I'm not sure how that worked. Give me the gun and a tank of unleaded.
Absolutely. Well, in that time, it was probably leaded.
Yeah,
Trying to get a gas station gun now, I'd probably move to that state right now.
Yeah, exactly. But I'm trying to think what other guns we had in this class. That was the only odd gun. Everything else was pretty standard. We had I've seen a lot of Taurus TX22s come through now.
Yeah.
A lot of those, and they functioned like crazy. Oh, another guy had he had a monster 22 pistol. It was like, I think it was like I want to say it was like a Ruger Mark. I don't know what it was. The barrel on it was like freaking that long. I'm not even joking. It was like, the barrel was like 8 inches or something. It was freaking huge.
The Hunter models, yeah.
Yeah.
Or even did a Target model with a heavy barrel. It's all fluted and weird.
It's freaking insane.
I could never quite figure that out for a 22.
It's freaking insane. I don't even know how you can hold it up. It's just like, "Argh." I'm like, do you need it that heavy to maintain the recoil, the powerful recoil of a 22 long rifle? I mean, it was ridiculous, but he had it and they were shooting it and it was great. It was a good class. We did have a couple of interesting, I won't say interesting students. It's kind of cool. So my record so far, I've been keeping tabs. My record so far, I've had people up as old as like 86 in my class. I had 2 women yesterday in their 90s. And they were determined to come and get their concealed carry permits. Which,
raw.
Yeah,
Raw.
I thought it was freaking awesome.
I could think of a lot of younger folks out there right now that could use coming to the class to get their permit.
Oh yeah.
And don't have that kind of spryness to get out there and get it done.
Oh yeah, these ladies were so impressive, and they're sisters, sharp as a tack, like super sharp, man. The lady, she lived way up. I think it was like in like Emmett or Eagle or somewhere. She drove all the way down here by herself. She got perfect vision, nothing. She's awesome. And they were shooting a couple 22s, and they got a little. They can get around really well. They got a little tired, kind of standing up. So we had this. They sat down and they kind of sandbagged the gun a little bit, But they did freaking awesome. And this is a cool thing. We have a bullseye competition, and you would have laughed your butt off had you been there. We have a bullseye competition at the end of the class. You've been there. You've seen them. We have one person at a time shoot, right? 2 rounds. And we started down with them because they were getting tired. It was a long day. They'd been here like almost 9 hours. So it's time, they wanted to leave, so they wanted to get done. So of course, yeah, whatever. They can start first. And she got down there and she was tired. But she hit the target. She was doing good. And she pulled off that first shot. And she hit the paper. It wasn't exactly where she wanted it, but she hit the paper. And it was dead quiet. We're all watching. Bang. She looked her head up and goes, "Did I hit the damn target?" It's the funniest thing I remember. We were just cracking up. We're like, "Yes, Sam, you hit the target. Let's do the second shot now." Okay. She settled back in. It was freaking great, dude. Did I hit the damn target?
Be your Golden Girls troop that comes.
Oh
down,
my
man.
gosh. It was phenomenal. And of course we put Henry on that end. When we separated him out, because I tell you what, when it comes to Henry, maybe something you don't know about this. You know what really likes Henry? Babies, like little kids, dogs, and elderly women. Love Henry. They all love Henry. They like glom on to Henry. They love Henry, and he's so great with them. And I mean, I've seen him in class before, helping a couple of gals that actually, there's like 3 of them that showed up from this church to take the permit class, and he has magazines in his hand, and he's got them on the table holding them while he's coaching each of them on how to load the magazines. He's holding the mags as they put the rounds, snap the rounds into place, and it was great, man. They took a selfie with him when they were done, and
he's gonna be famous.
Oh, Henry, they just want to pinch his cheeks. So
you're probably going to pay for that one at your next training session.
Yeah. Hey, but $5 a pinch.
There you go.
So that's pretty much the classes that I've gone through. But yesterday was a busy, long day. It was a lot of fun though. Something that came up in class was, they were all Republicans, and I got no problem with Republicans. I got no problem with anybody. If you want to learn how to fire a gun, come see me. I'll help you. It doesn't matter to me. But they were talking, this group was talking, and they were talking about Democrats. oh, and the Democrats, and they don't like guns. And I said, wait, stop. And they all stopped and they looked at me, and I was like, that might have once been the thing, but I'm going to tell you right now, in the last 3 months, I don't know if it's because of everything that's going on, but I've had more people that have come to take classes from me that have not been or not considered themselves right-leaning or Republicans. And so I was like, I just want to put that myth to bed right there, because I think this is the new thing. This is what's happening. I think you have people on the left that are seeing that, that they've been lied to. They've been lied to. The guns are bad. This. It's so easy to get firearms. We need to tighten the laws. And then when they go to buy a gun now, they realize they can't just order it online and have it shipped directly to their house, and that pisses them off. Because the rules that they have voted to put into play, that they've wanted enacted, they've helped get enacted. Now prevent them. They have to jump through all the same hoops as we do. And I think that's irritating a lot of people. And I see more and more left-leaning people buying firearms and wanting to know how to use them. And it's really impressive to me. And it's kind of a wake-up call for them that I think they're realizing that they've been lied to. They've just kind of gone with the media. They've gone with what the leaders on the left they've just considered that gospel. And they just really haven't checked it out for themselves. But I had to squash that little rumor yesterday.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think there's a lot of
they're getting bitter.
Well, there's that. I think it falls on both party lines, where you look at the 50s, where you had Democrats, or what we would call classic liberals, they're liberal on social issues because they want to help people. They have a good heart and that sort of thing, but they also understood the Constitution, what the rights were there for, what the purpose and the originality of the Constitution was for. And you get a lot of Democrats that, again, like you said, are just, they're being fed this lie. And I think it's with today's nature, where we sit back and we're lazy and want to believe whatever just comes at us until it becomes our backyard. And again, and I see that on the conservative, libertarian side, where we look at what we would call our Republican representatives and watch them fold like origami on things they should be standing on principle as. So I think there's that uprising, not only with firearms, but with media and communication and those sorts of things, that is coming up all together, and people are going, you know what, enough is enough.
Right.
You work for us.
Mm-hmm.
You need to remember, who your true masters are. And we're not going to be put down or run over by, your lies or your propaganda that's out there. And that's on both sides of the political spectrum. I've got friends that sit on the liberal side, and I got friends that sit on the conservative side. And it's
you got third-party friends.
But anybody that's a constitutionalist or originalist, or somebody that believes in their personal rights and freedoms, it all comes down to that one binding that one binding resolution, where it's the First or Second Amendment. Every day becomes 9/12.
Right.
We all stood up and said, hey, that enough is enough. And I think we're coming to that point. I don't think most of those folks out there, like the ones that you're training, they're learning, they're trying to be safe. Like we were talking here recently, they start developing from the sheepdog mentality to the porcupine mentality. And they're protecting their own. They're not wanting to cause trouble, but they're also not willing to get run over either. Right.
And, I agree with you 100%. And, I almost, it's kind of interesting me having a bunch of Republicans out here. I'm not against Republicans. It's whatever. But it was interesting because I didn't say this, but what I wanted to say is, what you guys don't realize, you guys are talking on Democrats and anyone that's not in your party, And I think I maybe woke them up a little bit when I talked about Democrats buying the firearms. It surprised looks on their faces. We're like, whoa. But what I wanted to say is, and by the way, maybe you need to do a little research on who your instructor is today. I'm a plant-based, kombucha drinking, tofu eating, gun shooting libertarian. I mean, really? I mean, don't make. We all have a right to self-defense, and if you want to buy a gun, you want to come learn it, right? I didn't tell you guys you couldn't show up because we disagreed on things. I mean, does that make sense?
Yeah, no, absolutely.
I mean, I lean right. Don't get me wrong. I mean, I don't disagree. I just, I just like to kind of think for myself a little bit.
I'm one of them crazies too. I'll fall in the middle on most things. I lean left on some subjects, right on others.
You're like me. You question absolutely everything.
Absolutely.
You
everything.
have to.
Yeah.
You have to. You can't become part of the machine and just tell you, think what Fox News tells you. Or whatever, even, and I like the guy, but you can't just think necessarily what you hear on the, the Glenn Beck show or whatever. Although he leans pretty far libertarian anyway, but
yeah,
I don't know. I just found that interesting. But you, shifting gears a little bit, you did mention something about sheepdogs and porcupines, and we were having a pretty good discussion earlier. And unfortunately, this is the first podcast that you've done with us, so you don't ever see necessarily behind the scenes. We have some of our best conversations before I hit the record button. And then when we try to recreate them, we just stare at each other, and like it doesn't happen. But what I would like to do here, okay, come on, Internet. Everyone knows how crappy my freaking Wi-Fi is out here. I would like to read an article, and I think I'm going to read the article that we talked about. And I know I'm reading it, so it's going to be kind of, might sound kind of dry and boring, but I'm going to read it, and then we're going to comment on it, and we'll just kind of go from there. But I think it's a good article to read. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, absolutely.
It's an older article. It was printed in the the Arms Guide. It was written by Travis Pike. Is back in 2016, but I think it's still a pretty good article, and I think it pertains to today a lot more than what we think, and I'll talk about why. It's called "I'm Not a Sheepdog, and You Shouldn't Be Either." It says, "Why I'm Not a Sheepdog. There are many different elements to gun culture. We can discuss ballistics, sectional densities, and coefficients. We can argue the best holster material, firearm trainer, and defensive ammunition till the sun rises. These are elements of gun culture. One of the most important pieces of gun culture is mentality. Mentality is basically a subsection of concealed carry, which is already a subsection of self-defense. When you discuss self-defense and mindset, the term sheepdog is often thrown around. This has happened more and more since the opening of monologue of the movie The American Sniper. And actually, this came out way before then. I've been listening to this, reading about it for a long time. It says the sheepdog mentality states that there are three kinds of people. The sheep, who are the average everyday person. In the sheepdog mindset, these people are unarmed and do not take self-defense seriously. Then there is the sheepdog, the protector of the sheep. The last category is the wolf. The wolf is the bad guy. He eats the sheep. As far as I can tell, this entire concept was derived by Lieutenant Colonel Dave Grossman and his work. Types of sheepdogs. The sheepdogs can go one of two ways. Police, military, first responders can make a fair argument for being sheepdogs. If you fall into one of those categories, I won't argue with you. In the gun community, however, the term sheepdog can be given to anyone who carries a gun. This term is often self-given. An accountant, a carpenter, a delivery man, anyone and everyone can be a sheepdog. You just need a legally carried gun. The problem I have with this term is that it implies some sort of duty. A real sheepdog has a job. He is fed, watered, and given a place to sleep because he protects the sheep. He has a duty to the sheep. The term implies also implies some form of authority over the sheep. A real sheepdog herds the sheep. Without a badge, you have zero authority. You also have zero responsibility to the sheep in this metaphor. It says, just be a dude. I'm a normal guy. I have no authority over anyone besides my 5-year-old. And I understand that. Mine's a 6-year-old, and I don't know that I have authority over him either. It says, I have no duty to protect anyone. That's not saying I wouldn't. It's just saying I don't have to. The term sheepdog is an ego boost given to people who carry guns. I get it. I understand. It's addictive. You don't have to really do anything to be a sheepdog except carrying a gun and call yourself a sheepdog. It makes you special. It makes you a protector of the weak, all without having to deal with the nastier parts of being a cop or a soldier or an EMT or a firefighter. I preach against the sheepdog mentality for 2 reasons. First, it creates a dangerous mindset. The term sheepdog implies that you are good. You are good protecting the sheep from evil. The mentality says that violent situations are always clear-cut. There is a good guy, a bad guy, and a victim. The truth of the matter is that the world is rarely black and white. It is almost always shades of gray. This mentality could lead some good people to make bad assumptions. Bad assumptions get people killed. The police, the prosecutors, and society doesn't care about your good intentions. Maybe you assume that someone's a sheep and you get got because you made a bad assumption. Maybe you think someone's a wolf and you pull that trigger, and now you're in prison with the real wolves. The next problem is the mentality that it creates. If you are a sheepdog, then someone has to be the sheep. This places walls between you and them. You may begin to look down on the sheep. You consider them the lesser. This creates an us versus them mentality. As a concealed carrier, your goal isn't to protect your community. Your goal is to protect yourself and your family. The media has long tried to convince the world concealed carriers are just wannabe cops. The sheepdog mentality feeds into that stereotype. I carry a gun for the same reason I wear a seatbelt when I drive, because my car beeps until I do. I joke, we carry guns, wear seatbelts, fly a dive flag when we go off the boat, and wear a helmet when we climb for all the same reason. I take my personal well-being serious. How much? Oh, we're almost done. Sorry, it's a long article. I can't fault anyone for wanting to help people. Instead of being a sheepdog, why don't you volunteer in your community? Teach some basic gun safety to some neighbors. Work at a homeless shelter. Collect money for UNICEF. At the end of the day, I don't think you should be a sheepdog. If you want to be compared to some kind of animal, be a porcupine. A porcupine is an easygoing animal. It likes to be left alone. It's passive until it's threatened. A porcupine only acts defensively. A porcupine will often retreat when possible and only fight when put in the corner. Sometimes the porcupine may lose, but he always strikes a blow. Be a porcupine. So that was our little Wild Kingdom story. What do you think about that article? What do you think about what it's saying? Because I know we probably have a little differing views on it.
We do. It is slightly differing views.
We should,
and the more I read about the article myself, there's a lot in there to digest, and there's a lot that has a lot of truth in it, right?
Right.
So I look at it as like my progression of firearms or my progression of carrying a gun over the years. I started carrying when I was 21 years old, and I do still see a lot of young people. Saw one yesterday on a road trip down to Pocatello. You know, they strap on a gun, they throw it out there, and they show it for the world to see. And it's the same type of mentality where they want to be the sheepdog, they want to be the protector, they want to be recognized. And in those years when I was young, it was the same way.
Right.
As you progress and you get older, you realize either your joints aren't working or, stuff ain't going the way it wants to be, or you just start maturing and weapons get put away. But I think the porcupine mentality is a great mentality right up until the wolf is at the door. Porcupines, they'll fight back. They're a defensive animal. They're designed to be that way. Often they become a meal. But, when that wolf is at the door or the predator is at the door, you have to be able to morph from that porcupine to controlled, violent aggression. It's essentially becoming the wolf or becoming, the aggressor. Generally, your aggressor wins in the fight, something you need to have planned out, something to be ready for when that aggression comes forward.
You need to become a better aggressor than the aggressor.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You have to be willing to take the pain, to take whatever's coming at you and be more violent and faster than the other, rather than becoming a victim.
Right.
But that porcupine mentality is a great mentality to live by in life and going along with the good dude thing, just be inspired to help your fellow man, jump out there, whatever it is, whether it's firearms training or helping them change a tire.
Yeah. So what brought this up for me was not yesterday's class, but the class that you were at the weekend before. And I know you don't come to the classroom portion. And I'm not picking on this guy at all. I think he was learning, and I think he might have, he kind of reevaluated what he was saying to a certain extent. He didn't talk a whole lot, but we were talking about when can you use your firearm, when to use your firearm. And we talked about thinking ahead and drawing that line in the sand for yourself, right? We have to make choices. Just because you see someone, a quick mart getting robbed and you're in there does not mean you need to draw your firearm and try to save the day. That's not what it means at all. You have to evaluate this in your brain. What's my line in the sand? Am I going to be a good witness? Am I going to get involved? Because there's consequences from doing both, actually. If you're a good witness, someone may die. I mean, just being a good witness and not intervening, someone may die. But if someone dies, that would be that the bad person probably has killed someone else. Does that make sense? So, but they're more often than not, they're just going to take the money or whatever they're stealing and they're going to leave. if you interact, you may cause a fight. You may cause them to pull a trigger if they have a firearm. You may cause someone to die because the bad guy's taking a shot at you, or you're taking a shot at the bad guy and you miss and you kill someone else. So now you got to live with the fact that you may have just invoked this gun battle to start, and you're going to lose lives. This gentleman in class, he's like, so I talked about how my line in the sand was my family. I'm going to deal with my family. They come first. I'm going to get them out. If the fight comes to me, then it's game on. I'm not going to go search it out. I'm not going to go whatever. And that's me. Everyone's got our own idea of what we're going to do, our own plan. And then, he looked at me and goes, so you would just let people die? Honestly, to a certain extent, I probably would. And I know that sounds crass. It sounds horrible for me to say, but if I have an opportunity, maybe I do something. I mean, the situations can be very dynamic. There's a lot that help me determining factors that I don't even know of right now because I'm not in that situation. But as of right now, just if you were to ask me right now, yeah, I probably would. Because if my family's with me and I intervene and I get shot, who's going to take care of my family at that point? And how do I know what's going on exactly? There's a lot of different ways to look at this. There was a case, it was like 3 or 4 years ago, I think, down in Vegas. Some wackos, I think they had dressed up like Batman, or I don't know what they were doing, or the Joker or something. And they had killed some cops already. They went to Walmart, and the guy's walking around, and he's got a gun, and he's shooting people at Walmart. And there was a concealed carry holder in that Walmart store. And he was a good guy. I'm not knocking him at all. He made a choice, and there were some consequences. He was a good guy. He thought he saw this. He thought he had the opportunity, so he went for it. What he didn't realize is that guy, the shooter, wasn't alone. And that shooter's girlfriend was right over there pushing a cart. And she looked nothing like him, right?
I remember that.
And she come up behind him and shot and killed that guy. The good guy, the concealed carry guy. And so there's a lot of things so if I'm with my family and something like that happens and I die, who's going to protect my family? They're my responsibility. And that's the way I look at it. And I will defend them. I will try to get them out safe. If the fight comes to me, it's game on. And people look at me like I'm doing this because I'm some kind of hero. I'm not. I'm not trying to be anyone's hero, but the hero for my family. I mean, is that a bad place to be? I mean, because I get a lot of heat for that sometimes. I really do.
I say no, that's not a bad place to be. I mean, situation dictates tactics, right? Right. And for the person that carries a gun, if that is your only solution to the fight that's there, then you've already lost the fight.
Right.
If you haven't played out the scenario 1,000 times, that you've lost every single time. It's not a winning scenario.
Right.
How would I lose this fight? What would I lose in this fight? What could go wrong? Right. You do want to play the head game. Hey, this is my commitment to win, but what am I looking for? What tactics? And now if your family's there, your priority has to be your family.
Always.
One, your brain, you can't fight, two focuses. Right. You can't fight and win two focuses. It's like having a 2-front battle. You can't do it. Yeah. Get the family out. If you make the personal choice to go back in, you have to ask yourself, are my tactics sound enough? Can I make say you have to make a 30-yard shot with a handgun. Can you make a melon-sized shot at 30 yards? And does that necessarily guarantee that's going to stop the fight? Because just up here in Idaho, a guy took 3 rounds to the head from the police department. He's still alive.
Yeah.
1 through the eye. And that was at close quarter combat, so again, like you said, you can put other people at risk, right? If you can't make that shot, if you're not in the position or you didn't pay attention to your surroundings and there's more than one, do you intervene yourself back into that with your handgun and no armor, no real tactics, no understanding the layouts? It's situational, and I think in one sense, if you have the ability to do something to help somebody, if you can pull over and help somebody do a tire change, or you can help somebody change the bearings out on their truck and they don't know how to do it.
Yeah,
if you have that ability, you should do it because it's the right thing to do.
Sure.
Jeopardizing other people, you have to evaluate your skill set. I mean, if you're a tier 1 operator and that's your deal and you know how to wipe out terrorists, run in there and zap them. I'm all for it.
And I guarantee you that this is no offense to anyone taking my class, because I don't consider myself one either. I learn every day, right? But the people taking my class, the people that I deal with, and a few of the people that are like, "Whoa, what do you mean you wouldn't go in there and save the day?" They're not tier 1 operators. They're just not. I'm not. I mean, I can shoot okay. I don't consider myself a tier 1 operator by any means. I mean, I'm so far from that. I'm so far from that. I'm almost like I've never picked up a gun before, if that makes any sense. And we all have to make our choices, man. And I'm glad that there's people out there that will go and do that sort of thing. That we need those kind of people, and that's just not me. I mean, honestly, I say that now, but I don't know. Put me in a situation. Let's see what happens. I mean, I know what I can and can't do. If I have an opportunity, am I going to just pass off an opportunity? If I have a good opportunity, like you said, tactics and whatnot, I might just go ahead and take it.
Yeah, your
You just
situation dictates the tactics.
You just don't know. But we were talking about that sheepdog thing, and there's another article, and I'm going to read a little section of it. I know people hate it when I read, but it says, if you guys haven't read, by the way, if you guys have not read anything from Lieutenant Colonel Dave Grossman, he's got all kinds of books out there. I can't even remember some of them. Like On Killing, he's got On Killing, On Battle, stuff like that. Great books. Check them out. He says a popular essay from Lieutenant Colonel Dave Grossman, just as we stated before, said divided humans into 3 categories: sheep, wolves, and sheepdogs. I would suggest that Lieutenant Colonel Grossman left out an important 4th category. That would be porcupines. This guy goes on to say, my wife is neither sheep nor sheepdog, and she certainly is no wolf. She is a porcupine, harmless and docile if left alone, but ferocious and dangerous if threatened. Even more so if her progeny are threatened. She would choose fight over flight every time, or flight over fight, every time, if flight is a viable option. But if flight is not an option, she has the tools, training, and mindset to win the fight. Our nation's convoluted laws on self-defense and liability also force all but the most dedicated sheepdogs into the role of porcupine as well, making porcupines the most prevalent variety of armed citizen. We won't passively stand by while the wolves have their way with us or our families, but neither can we take responsibility for protecting the sheep from the wolves. I agree that there's probably, if you're going to add a 4th animal to that mix there, that would be porcupines. And I agree that there should be a lot more porcupines out there than sheepdogs. I mean, wouldn't you agree on that?
I would. It goes right back to the armed society as a polite society.
Yes. I would consider everyone in my classes to be a porcupine. Hopefully. Hopefully they'd be a porcupine. I mean, that's kind of the way I look at it. I mean, I know how to pull the trigger. I could, I've had to use my firearm a time or two. Never had to point it at anyone. Just having it and drawing it was enough. And I don't ever want to do it again. But man, I was with my 4-year-old daughter, and at that point I was kind of cornered. I couldn't just walk away. Okay. I wanted to, but I couldn't. I had a 4-year-old with me that she had no idea what was going on, and she wasn't listening to Dad at the time. And I would have done whatever I had to. I was prepared. I saw it coming. I couldn't avoid it. It showed up. People got out of the truck. They started walking toward the vehicle, and I drew that gun, and I had every intention on pulling that trigger, and just me raising the gun out of the holster and having my shoulder go up was enough to turn those guys. They looked at each other, and they turned around, and they left. And I don't know that I would have come out on top even if I had used my firearm, because there was like 2 great big guys and 3 or 4 more other people. I just don't know that it would have happened for me. But I would have fought to the death. I would have emptied my mags easy. I don't know. That's like one of the dilemmas of a concealed carry. In the concealed carry world, right? We always talk about maybe not porcupines, but sheepdog. What would you do? When should you use your gun? It's different for so many different people, and it's just the event and all the details and everything that we don't know right now because we're not in that event. That's what dictates it. That's really what dictates it. But you do have to think ahead about these things.
You do, and I can kick in a quick story.
Sure.
I've had 2 defensive shoots in my lifetime.
Mm-hmm.
One on 4-legged predators, one on a 2-legged predator. And thank God I never had to pull the trigger on the 2-legged.
Right.
But with the 4-legged predator, I learned something very quickly. that in the sheepdog mentality, when you go out to protect your yard, your space, and an 85-pound pit bull comes across a yard at 90 miles an hour and chases your fat body up over the porch, you go from being sheepdog to porcupine real fast.
Oh yeah.
And, being able at that time, I had limited skills, but enough skills to make that draw and shoot.
Yeah.
It was a reality at that point. It's like, I need more training, because right at the end of that shoot, I realized I had a stovepipe and there was a second dog in the yard. Now, fortunately, that dog had, I had taken my time. I made my shot, stopped the dog.
You never saw the second dog?
Didn't see the second dog at all. Didn't see it. And then because I became threat focused.
I was just say that's tunnel vision, man. We talk about that in class.
Had a good shoot, put that dog down in one round. But as I'm tracking my sights, I see a stovepipe, and then I see the second dog, and I'm going stovepipe and froze. I mean, it was an immediate freeze. Okay, clear the weapon, go to make my next shot, realize that the second dog was not a threat, and put it away at that point. But it's that the lack of training at that time. I think I was 24 years old, so quite a few years ago.
Your body will never go where the mind's never been.
Yep. Yeah, if you don't practice it, and you go out with that wrong mentality, you're going to end up could end up in a box, or, missing a limb or something like that. But this second was a much more positive outcome, because I seen the threat coming long before. And I think I was about 30 years old at that time, Washington State. I seen the threat coming in the store and managed to position myself in a place where I was getting out and away and escaping to my vehicle and that sort of thing. And again, just like your situation, all I had to do was make the move towards it, and that ended the fight. I didn't have to worry about it, and it was in and out.
Thank the Lord, right?
Yeah, because I don't know what I would have done at that time. With time and age and, things that we experience in life, that becomes easier, and that's never a good thing. But at that time, you go, okay, what happens in the aftermath, right?
Right.
What happens after that? So, the porcupine mentality is a much safer, smarter position to be in, and then be the wolf when you have to.
Yeah, you're there, and you can get nasty and mean if you have to.
Absolutely.
So I want to tell you, it's a little off. We're talking about porcupines. That reminded me. I ran over a porcupine last week, and it was like a couple hours later, and I'm getting the mail at the post office. I'm walking back to my truck. I'm like, what the heck? I had a bunch of porcupine quills sticking out of my freaking tire.
Oh,
I mean, those things are dense, man. They stuck right in that tire. They're tough. I was impressed. I didn't mean to hit that poor porcupine. Me and porcupines kind of have this little relationship, because I go run when it's dark out, early in the morning, and I come across a lot of porcupines. And I will give this to those porcupines. They're not scared. They're really not. They're not scared. They wander off, but they don't run off. They just kind of move out of my way, and they take their time about it. They do what they want. And so that's kind of cool. So just because we're calling you porcupine doesn't mean you're necessarily going to run away scared to death. That's not it. You just, like porcupines, no, they have skills. They have protection, right? They got their quills. They're going to conserve when they use those things.
Yeah, because you keep an eye on the threat and just move on.
You can see the one. I only carry so much ammo with me. Those poor porcupines. I can go buy. Well, you can't buy it now. But if I use ammo, I can go home and get more ammo. Them poor porcupines, they got to grow that shit back. And you see some of those porcupines that look like they've been in a freaking tussle, and they're like bald except for like a little patch, and you're like, holy crap, buddy, that must have been a rough week.
It's just not his day.
Not his day at all, man. He's looking for that reload. He can't find it, so he's got to hang out in a tree away from predators. And
but could you imagine the other guy looking at your tires?
Oh yeah, exactly. So hey, it's been a blast having you here. It's been fun. We tried to do this a couple times, or at least once. I think we've been talking about it for quite a while. I usually talk about something, and it's like 8 months down the road that it actually takes place. So I appreciate that. Appreciate you stopping by, let me shoot your gun, and that binary trigger. That thing was freaking cool.
That is a
Can
blast.
I get one of those for a handgun?
I don't think so. Not yet.
Not yet.
I'll be looking for one though.
Yeah,
now.
that's freaking
See
cool.
if I can go find one.
I do want to throw some stuff out there. We always have different podcasts take care of business at a certain time. I always tend to do it at the end if I remember it all. So if you like the podcast, subscribe to it, share it with your friends, share it on social media, help it grow. We would really appreciate that. You can find the podcast. It's called the Patriot Defense Podcast. You can find it on Stitcher, iTunes, Spotify, any apps, anywhere that you could possibly find a podcast. I'm on there. I don't know how I got on there, but I'm on there because I've looked. And I tell you what, if you're going to go around and you're going to carry a firearm, it never hurts to have some kind of insurance, some kind of coverage, right? Because you're going to go through like a criminal investigation and that kind of court case. And then the one that you really have to worry about is going to be the civil case that's going to follow. You're always going to get a civil case. They're going to come out. They're going to say, well, the little Johnny was a good boy. He just had a bad habit of breaking into people's houses, right? That's what they're going to say. And the family's going to get whatever money they can from them.
How else was he supposed to get those shoes, right?
Exactly. So something I found that I've actually been contemplating for quite a while, and I researched all kinds, is the USCCA. I got their carry insurance. And you can go on their website and you can check out prices and stuff like that and see if it's for you. But man, I tell you what, on one of their plans, it's like a monthly thing. You pay for it like a year at a time, but you can add your spouse for like $9. It's a pretty good deal. So check it out. If you do check it out, we got to keep the podcast running here. I got gear and better mics I need to buy and all kinds of stuff. If you wanted to check it out, if you go to the Patriot Defense website, it's patriotdefense13.com, and there's a scrolling banner at the top that advertises my classes. And if you wait a few seconds, it'll also advertise a link to the USCCA. If you go check it out and if you decide it's for you, if you click on that link and you get it through that link, I get I'm not going to lie, I get a small kickback. And that helps keep the lights on and the mics updated, and pays for a little bit of bandwidth that I have to pay for every month. Running a podcast isn't super expensive, but it ain't super cheap either. It does cost a little bit of money, and I do it because I enjoy it. A little help would be much appreciated. And then once again, if you got any comments or questions, whether they're negative, positive, you tell me maybe to shut up, I should never do a podcast again, you can call me, you can text me at area code 620-794-6223. That's area code 620-794-6223, and I will respond. I'm pretty good at responding to text messages and even phone calls. And I mentioned it before, but we are going to have a listener shoot sometime. I'm not sure when. I don't want it to be real hot, so I think we're in a good time right now. I'm getting a little construction done out on my range. Hopefully that starts really soon. When that gets through, if it's not too late, I think we're going to just have a group of guys. I don't care where you're at. If you want to drive here from back east, that's good. Good on you, man. We'll take you. But I thought about getting a few guys together to listen to the podcast. Just come out, and it wouldn't cost anything, obviously. Just sign some liability waivers. And come out and bring some fun toys and do some shooting. And I think we do that for a couple hours or an hour or whatever. I think it'd be a good time. Will you be there?
I'll be there.
All right. You can bring your binary trigger.
Probably so.
Yes, sweet.
A couple other goodies I got stashed away in the safe.
Oh, very good. So until then, I will try to get a podcast out next weekend. Thank you for helping out today, Mr. Magnum.
Appreciate it. Thanks, Todd.
I appreciate it. Talk to you guys later. Bye.